Gideon Shalwick, according to yourself, sir, what does it mean to let go?
Yeah, these are deep questions. And it's a great question because it's quite relevant for me because it's been something that's actually been on my mind, especially for the last 2 years, maybe 3. Let's make that 4 years. 4 years, there was an incident that happened to me that I couldn't let go of. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I finally figured out how to let it go. What happened, actually it was more than 4 years ago, maybe about around the same time. But anyway, what happened was someone decided to target me online, essentially a troll, but this particular troll was very mean, very smart, and very vocal and public about their trolling. So I won't go into the details, but what happened was I started creating an obsession about this in my own mind. And it really bothered me, daily, day to day, it bothered me. And I couldn't get rid of it. It's almost like there was this virus stuck in my head. And every time there'd be a little trigger, it would bring up that image of that person and those negative feelings towards myself and towards the person and towards the whole situation. And it made me really unhappy. And, I historically, what I would do when things like that would happen, when something bad would happen to me, was I would, and it would work pretty well up to a certain point, I would push it away and create layer upon layer upon layer on it, so essentially burying it. So the more layers I would put on top, and the more I would, I'm not sure push it away is the right word, but it's almost like ignore. Until I read an amazing book. Now, I can't remember the name of the book, but I actually came to the realization just before, but the book clarified it for me, and I wish I could remember the name of the book. I think it's the same guy who wrote Power versus Force, that guy. I can't remember his name either. But he had another book where he talked about this whole process of, acceptance and forgiveness and this sort of thing. Now, he didn't talk about this next thing, but I discovered this for myself.
Hi, my name is Marcel. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. These interviews are parts of a whole series. So if you would like to continue to watch these, don't forget to subscribe and click on the little bell to get the notifications. Drop me a comment. Tell me what you think about this. And if you have any questions, certainly that would be the way to get the message across. I hope you enjoy this. Take care.
Part of the process of forgiveness is, maybe before that even, is acceptance of the situation that's happened. But what I discovered was, before you could even accept something, you need to acknowledge it or recognize it. And it's I'm not sure if you still understand Afrikaans, but in my mother tongue, Afrikaans, the word is erken or herken. When it's like the acknowledge. It's like giving someone who's won a Nobel Peace Prize or something like that. You give them acknowledgement, right? So it's almost like putting them up on a pedestal. You're saying, wow, that, I acknowledge that you're there. I acknowledge that you exist, and I acknowledge that you've done something great. So in effect, what you're doing is you're humbling yourself to that person in a way, because you're putting them on a pedestal, so to speak. So that kind of, I'm talking about that kind of acknowledgement. Whether it's a good thing to do or not in a person's case like that, that's a different discussion. But I'm just talking here about acknowledging those negative energies inside your mind. And then, because once you've acknowledged it in that sense of recognition, giving it recognition, it essentially means you have to let go of your own ego. Because the only way you can acknowledge it and say, hey, you're greater than me, is to say that my ego is not that great. My ego is not that important. And it's really counterintuitive, because you think, no, I'm better off fighting this thing and crushing it. Whereas this is kind of the opposite, where you're saying, no, I'm acknowledging it. I'm acknowledging it in a way so that it opens up the door for acceptance. And then once you start accepting it, that opens up the door for forgiveness. And it was incredible because it was a matter of 1 or 2 days that I started doing this, that negative energy started disappearing completely. So I was struggling with it for 2 or 3 years. It was like a really, thing, I can't get rid of it type of thing. And every single day I would think about it, that negative energy and that negative event. And then as soon as I did the recognition thing and then acceptance and forgiveness, boom, it all dissipated. So that allowed me then, in a sense, to let go of it finally.